All of us have toxic people in our lives. Those are the people who drag us down, who emotionally wear us out. They might be the negative person or the controlling person or the person who tempts you to go in a direction that you don't want to go. And the right way to handle those situations is to calmly, clearly set boundaries. But that's hard to do, and so most of us rely on other strategies, less effective approaches. Sometimes we become the appeaser. The appeaser is the one who won't keep boundaries. They allow the toxic person to continue trampling over them because they want to be liked, or they hate conflict, or they don't want to create some kind of a problem, and so they just sit back passively, allow the toxic person to do whatever they want to do. And then there's the fixer. The fixer is the one who thinks they can change the toxic person, so they jump in and start working on trying to change that person, and ultimately they end up taking more responsibility for the problem than the toxic person does. And they become enmeshed in that person's life in a very unhealthy way. Now, the third approach is not really a separate thing, but it's what happens in the first two. I call it the volcano. And what happens is if you've been appeasing someone so long, you get tired of being rolled over, or you get tired of trying to fix their problems, and they don't seem to care. Eventually you get you get worked up, and boom, out comes this volcano of emotions, and you become angry and bitter, and you start to become a toxic person yourself toward them. And then there's a fourth way that sometimes people use. I call it the hinter. It's very passive aggressive, where you're not going to really tell them the truth, but you try to lay down subtle hints and clues and cues to the person, hoping they'll pick up on your little clues. And it might be snarky comments you make or cruel things you say under your breath, thinking that the person's going to somehow pick up on your little subtle hints and that they're going to change. And I'm sure you could think of other ways that are unhealthy to deal with toxic people in your life. Maybe you could talk about that in your small group or with your family, when really you need to understand that the right way to handle a toxic relationship is to calmly, clearly set boundaries and then stick with them.